Wayward Magic, Part 2, Tam. Chapter 10, The Decision to Leave. We are all sitting in the farmhouse, myself, Cressa, Raven, Sophia, and the girl Dara. We have been listening to the strange conversation taking place between Sophia and Raven. I say strange because Sophia is able to speak to us through her mind, and strange because any time Raven is involved, there are usually words and phrases being used that I do not fully understand. But I am used to sometimes not understanding what is being said. After all, I have rarely left the farm I grew up on, and I have received only a basic education. While I do not think myself stupid, I know I am not familiar with many of the words and phrases someone as well-traveled as Raven would use. The thought occurs to me, there in the old farmhouse, that I could use my ability to touch Raven's mind, to better understand that which I do not, and that thought fills me with shame. Before now, I would never have thought of using my magic in such a way. I would never have thought of using my magic at all. Nor have I ever thought of my magic as an ability, and not a curse. My magic, after all, is forbidden. It is wayward, no matter what Raven says, and Cressa, and now Sophia. And to watch as Sophia asks Cressa to use her magic for something as trivial as warming tea. Absolute insanity. I used to imagine something like the thing that Sophia described, something that stops me from being able to touch magic. Even now it sounds almost wondrous to me, something that would simply take all this away from me, make me the same as all others around me, make me normal. But then I remember my friend Kari from the village by my farm. They took away her power and her memory, her personality, her will to live. If that is the cost of being normal, then that is a cost too high. And there is the fact that Cressa has been traveling with us for days now, a week nearly, and she has not been starting random fires or accidentally setting herself alight. I must admit that just being near her scared me at first, as I assumed she would eventually lose control and burn herself, and I did not want her taking me with her. I also think back to that day with the two criminals, the horrid monsters who had raped and murdered little girls. The stench of emotion pouring off of them made not feeling into their minds, not reading their intentions, impossible for me. They intended to rape us both. They were looking forward to it, in fact. They wanted the hurting. They wanted our pain. I have heard people refer to men such as these as animals, but that is wrong. I have grown up surrounded by animals. Animals may hurt, even kill, but they never do it for pleasure. I have only seen that trait in other people. The men were going to murder us as well. They had killed before, after all. And yet when Raven looked at me, I could feel her frantically wanting me to use my magic on them. Throw him off, Tam. Do it like you did that boy in the hayloft. And she knew that I could feel her intent. And part of me did want to throw him off. Part of me knew I could throw him off. Or perhaps I could have used my mind to take the knife away from him, pushed his arms away from me and forced him to drop the knife, all without ever touching him. I have always suspected that my magic is that strong. And part of me wanted to do it, but a bigger part of me chose not to. And so I did not. I did not use my magic on him. I resisted. I was able to control it. So then why did I lose control in the tavern? Because I did it without thinking? I tell myself that perhaps it was the alcohol that Raven had warned me of. Maybe it really did muddle my thinking the way that she said it would. It is true that my memories from that day are fuzzier. I remember the man coming forward with the shackles, and with my mind I told him to stop moving, and he did. I froze him in place, something I had never done before, never even attempted before, never even thought to attempt. And then I smashed the chair over his head. I simply looked at the chair, and it flew, straight and hard and true. So there is a part of my mind that thinks, did I truly lose control, or did I simply choose to use my magic this time? Then why would I choose to use it against the Emperor's guard, when I chose not to use it before against the two criminals? Yes, there were more of them in the tavern, but was the threat against us truly that much greater? After all, the guardsmen only wanted to capture us. The two criminals intended to rape and kill us. But if I am being honest, truly honest with myself, I already know the truth. I knew neither the two criminals nor the guardsmen would hurt Raven. She is a knight after all, and she is well trained and well armed. But in the tavern, it was not just Raven and me that were in danger. There was the Lady Tierra, and there was Cressa. You will not touch her. None of you will touch her. I barely remember hearing the words coming out of my own mouth. Again, my memories of that day are not entirely clear. And at the time I told myself I was speaking of Raven, but that is foolishness, because Raven was in no more danger than she had been against the two criminals who attacked us in the woods. It was Cressa that I had meant. It was Cressa I was afraid for. But that is also foolishness, because I had just met the girl, and she is insufferable. She had insulted me. She called me a child. And yes, she is also very beautiful in an exotic sort of way, with her short hair and bright eyes and knowing smile. But that is no reason for me to violate my promise to myself not to do what is wayward, to touch magic. And yet, there is one thing I do remember clearly from that day. I remember that fear, that dread in my heart. They will try to take Raven and Tierra. Then they will come after us as well. They will hurt Cressa. I cannot allow them to hurt her. And then, of course, right after that, the idiot girl begins throwing fire around like an absolute fool. She could have easily killed us all. And now, after spending so many days with her, I know the real truth. Cressa is all at once beautiful and exotic and wild and reckless and a fool. She is like the very fire she plays with. And for some reason, just being near her warms my heart, as if she will burn me up from the inside out. And now, here we are in the old farmhouse. Sophia is explaining how she and Dara got from Grail to the farmhouse, and how they discovered the fate of young doll Frey's father, thanks to the help of the mysterious Scarlet. I was to give you a 2-word message, Sophia says, something that meant nothing to me, but hopefully you'll understand. Raven asks, so what's the message? Sophia looks right at her. She said, abandon protocol. Raven's eyes go wide. I do not need to touch her mind to know that those 2 words have a specific meaning to her. But I have never heard that word before, protocol. And Cressa's confused stare tells me that she has not either. Sophia's eyes narrow. To Raven, she says, and I can tell from your expression that you know what that means. Yes, Raven says quietly, I know exactly what it means. Cressa turns to Raven and asks what we're all thinking. So what does it mean? Raven sighs. It means I can finally tell you where I came from. Cressa and I share a look. Raven has many secrets, and we both know better than to pry if she is not ready to tell us, but sometimes curiosity gnaws at you with strong teeth. But, Raven adds, it will be easier to show you. Easier for me to explain, and easier for you to understand and believe. I frowned slightly. Why would we not believe you? You have said that you would not lie to us, and you have proven to be true to your word. Raven chuckles softly. No, I know. It's just... She pauses, thinking. It would mean a few days of travel, though. Hard travel, into the west. To show you, I mean. Dara stands up from the floor and smiles. She pushes a thought out to us, loud and clear. I am ready to go. And that gets me thinking, too. Dara, 2 years younger than me, seems to be a very nice girl. She can recognize words when she sees them, but she was not taught to write. I do not know how I know that exactly. I did not try to pry into her mind, and I do not think she pushed the thought out to me. But I am somehow as sure of that as I am of my own name. So, if it were not for the magic that Sophia taught her to use, Dara would be completely unable to communicate. How could something that helps Dara so much, something that obviously makes her life so much better, be wayward? This is not like Cressa's fire or my ability to push and move things with my mind. Both of those things are dangerous. We could hurt or kill people. But surely teaching Dara to communicate with her mind, if she cannot do so with her tongue, is a good thing. There is no danger in it. It is not something that needs to be controlled or suppressed. So how could it be wayward? For the first time, I think that perhaps magic is not... I search for the word that Raven used so long ago. Binary. Perhaps magic is not binary. Perhaps it is not good or bad. Perhaps it just is. Raven turns to the others and says, Are you sure, guys? We'd be heading through the scrublands, toward the mountains. Not an easy trek. Sophia chuckles softly. Perhaps you missed the part where I explained that Dara and I spent the better part of a year moving from town to town making our way here. I may be older than you, Lady Knight, but I'm perfectly capable of riding a horse. Besides, looking at these two, she nods towards Cressa and me. They look like they're dying to find out whatever secrets you're hiding, and if the secret is that big, well then, how can I resist? Raven is quiet for a moment. Okay then, we all ride together, and when we get there, I'll let you guys in on everything, and then you can decide what to do with that information. Dara looks to Sophia. Shall I get the horses ready? Sophia chuckles softly. No, Dara, not tonight. Traveling long distances in the middle of the night is ill-advised unless the need dictates it, and right now we're all safe. It has been a long day for us all, and I'm sure we can find beds for these nice ladies. That will also allow us to gather the supplies needed for the journey. There will be no inns or taverns out where we're going. No roads either in most spots, Raven adds with a smirk. Okay, we'll leave in the morning, but I need to warn you, Sophia. I need to warn all of you. What I'm going to tell you, what I'm going to show you, you might not like it. You might not understand it. But either way, once I tell you, you can never go back to the way things were.